Weird War Facts. During his time with the Air Force, the famous Johnny Cash worked as a Morse code operator. This led to him intercepting and reporting on the news from the Soviet Union that Joseph Stalin had died. In fact, Johnny Cash might have been the first American to hear of Stalin's passing. During World War I, the life of a 17-year-old British soldier was saved when his pocket Bible stopped a bullet. The book has been passed down through his family and still has the bullet inside, about 50 pages from the end. During World War II, there was a Nazi interrogator named Hans Scharf who never tortured his prisoners to get information. Instead, he told them jokes, brought them homemade food, and took them on nature walks. His techniques were very successful as he was known as the master interrogator of Nazi Germany. These photos show what 4 years of fighting in World War II did to the face of a young Soviet man. As the museum caption reads, "The first face looks at you, the second face looks through you." During World War I, a carrier pigeon named Cher Ami was shot, blinded, and had her leg blown off. But she was still able to deliver an important message and save the lives of nearly 200 men. About 2,000 tons of unexploded bombs are still found in Germany each year. In the Vietnam War, American sniper Carlos Hathcock was a legend in the U.S. Marine Corps with his 93 confirmed kills. During one instance, he volunteered to crawl for 3 days across 2,000 meters of open field containing an enemy headquarters. He took a single shot that killed a North Vietnamese general and crawled back out without being spotted. One of the original 5 Japanese cities that the U.S. planned on nuking was its former capital, Kyoto. The only reason it wasn't bombed was because U.S. Secretary of War Henry Stimson spent his honeymoon there and called it a nice place. So instead of Kyoto, they chose Nagasaki. Roman Emperor Caligula once declared war on Neptune, god of the seas. His men ran at the ocean and stabbed the water for a short time before surrendering. World War II ace pilot Douglas Bader flew with no legs. This became a surprising advantage against G-force, making him less likely to pass out. A quiet American prisoner of war was nicknamed the Incredibly Stupid One by Vietnamese captors. But upon his return to the US, he provided the names of 200 other prisoners of war, which he had memorized to the tune of Old MacDonald Had a Farm. American soldier Henry Gunther was killed just 1 minute before World War I was officially ended. He bravely charged at a German roadblock filled with armed soldiers. The Germans tried waving him off, knowing that the armistice would be signed within a few moments. Apparently he got too close, fired a couple rounds, and was killed instantly. Sunken World War II ships at the bottom of the ocean are actually extremely valuable. They're one of the only sources of steel in the world that remains uncontaminated by nuclear radiation. Though you may not recognize him, you probably wouldn't be alive today if it weren't for this man. During the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, Vasily Arkhipov of the Soviet Navy was ordered to fire a nuclear torpedo. But even though he was second in command, he refused. If it wasn't for his decision, a nuclear war would have broken out across the world. Morbidly wholesome. In 2014, an 11-year-old boy was in the passenger seat when his 79-year-old grandfather collapsed at the wheel. Using skills he picked up from playing Grand Theft Auto, the boy managed to grab the wheel and steer the car to safety until help arrived. In 2014, 3-year-old Marina Chikatova survived in the Siberian wilderness for 11 days with no one other than her dog for company. She ate wild berries, drank from a river, and curled up with her dog for warmth. She was saved when her dog managed to find her village and guide rescuers toward her. A pig named Lulu saved her owner's life while the woman was having a heart attack. The pig heard the cries of pain, ran outside into the road, and played dead to stop the traffic. One driver stopped, the pig led him to the trailer, and he called 911 after hearing the woman screaming. This is a photo of 2 surgeons after removing a set of brain tumors during a 32-hour surgery. In 2001, an abused lion cub, tiger cub, and bear cub were all found in a drug dealer's basement. They were all moved to Noah's Ark Sanctuary in Georgia and became inseparable friends for life. In 2012, Anthony Omari took a machete to the face while defending a Kenyan orphanage against attacking thieves. He saved 37 orphans, and his story helped raise over $80,000 for the orphanage. In 1982, the Almeida family lost their pet tortoise Manuela while their house was being renovated. 30 years later, they were cleaning out the attic after their father died and miraculously found Manuela still alive. They think she was able to survive by eating termites in the furniture that their father was hoarding. Just hours after the death of Nintendo CEO Satoru Iwata, a rainbow was seen over the Nintendo headquarters. Fans dubbed it the Rainbow Road to Heaven. In 2019, 30-year-old mother Emma Scholes ran through her burning home to save her 6 children. She ran from room to rescue her kids while suffering from third-degree burns over 93% of her body. For several weeks, she hovered between life and death but eventually survived. When talking about the incident, she said, "I thought I had to get the kids out, then I could die." These are some of the weirdest births ever recorded. Yep, that's a pregnant baby. This extremely rare condition is known as fetus in fetu and happens when a baby's body absorbs the embryo of its twin. In 1935, a pregnant Alton Jordan fell 40 feet into a well and gave birth to a healthy baby boy named Frank. The infant remained underwater for 45 minutes without breathing until both were rescued. In 2016, a baby girl named Lindley was born twice. A Nigerian surgeon removed her from the womb to cut a tumor on her spine. He then put her back, and 12 weeks later, Lindley was born healthy. In 1939, 5-year-old Lena Medina became the youngest confirmed person to ever give birth. Her son was born by C-section and was raised as her brother. Medina is still alive today, but has never revealed the father nor the circumstances of her impregnation. Here are some morbid facts that you didn't know about the bombing of Hiroshima. Many people who witnessed the nuclear blast firsthand were blinded instantly. Some were even left with permanent atomic bomb cataracts like this one. When the bomb was dropped, the blast was so powerful that it permanently burned the shadows of objects and people into the ground. Some Hiroshima survivors eventually grew black fingernails like this one. These fingernails contained active blood vessels and bled profusively when they broke off. If you're a certain distance from a nuclear explosion, you won't die immediately. Instead, you'll get third-degree burns all over your body and your nerves will be killed so fast that you'll barely even feel it. This happened to a lot of people in Hiroshima, and when rescuers would grab their arms to help them, their skin would slide off just like a glove. Weird nature facts. There's a tribe in India that has learned how to train the roots of fig trees to create natural suspension bridges. These bridges can span over 100 feet and last up to 600 years. After colliding with a propeller, this loggerhead sea turtle received a 3D printed titanium jaw. The lobster has changed very little over the last 100 million years and is known for its unusual anatomy. Its brain is located in its throat, its teeth are in its stomach, and its kidneys are in its head. It also hears using its legs and tastes with its feet. The red-crested tree rat is a species of rodent that was thought to be extinct for over 100 years. But in 2011, one appeared outside of an eco lodge in Colombia and let researchers photograph it for 2 hours. It then disappeared into the night, never to be seen again. These giant stick insects, known as tree lobsters, were thought to be wiped out by rats in 1920. But in 2001, 24 of them were found in a small bush on an island called Ball's Pyramid. No one knows how they got there, but they were the last known survivors of the species until scientists started breeding them. 44 years ago today was the first and only time that snow was recorded in Miami, Florida. Sea urchins sometimes cover themselves with rocks for protection, so if you give them tiny hats, they'll wear them. In the 1930s, a flute player had a pet lyrebird that mimicked his music. Eventually, he released the bird into the wild. But fragments of the flute player's music were passed down by generations of lyrebirds and are still present in their songs today. Archaeologists have discovered dwarf crocodiles living in remote caves in the African country of Gabon. After living in complete darkness, their skin has turned orange and they are nearly blind. These weird cave crocodiles may be in the process of evolving into an entirely new species. In the town of Churchill, Manitoba, it is deemed common courtesy to keep your car doors unlocked. This is so that townspeople can have a quick escape if they ever come across a wild polar bear. In 2007, a giant bowhead whale was caught off the coast of Alaska with an old harpoon point embedded in its neck. Further examination revealed that the fragment dated back to the year 1880, indicating that the whale had survived a human attack that took place over a century ago. This also proved to scientists that bowhead whales are the longest living mammals in the world. Scientists who first discovered the platypus thought it was fake. They assumed that an egg-laying, duck-billed, venomous mammal with the tail of a beaver had to be an elaborate hoax. Standing at 380 feet tall, Hyperion is the largest known living tree in the world. Located somewhere in California, its exact location is kept a secret to protect it from vandals. A Japanese zoo once tried to mate a pair of hyenas for 4 years before realizing that they were both males. This resilient tree had all of its soil washed away but still refused to die. These are some examples of animals that are bilateral gynandromorphs. It's a genetic mutation that causes one of their first cells to be male and the other to be female. The result is an extraordinary animal that's male on one side and female on the other. This incredible photo captures the moment an orangutan reached out to help a conservationist who was stuck in a river. It was taken in Malaysia when the man was searching for dangerous snakes in the area to protect the local apes. This extremely rare translucent lobster was caught in the state of Maine. The man who caught it said he threw it back into the ocean because it was too small. Experts say the chances of finding a lobster like this are about 1 in 100 million. Thousands have climbed Mount Everest and 12 men have visited the moon, but only 3 people have ever been to the deepest point in the ocean. While meerkats are adorable, they're also the most murderous species on the planet by far. They've been known to kill members of their own species more frequently than any other animal that's been studied. In the 1930s, a couple of married scientists conducted an experiment in which a chimpanzee named Gua was raised alongside their infant son Donald. For 9 months, they were raised as brother and sister as the parents recorded their development. While Gua learned many of the human behaviors before Donald, the experiment was stopped abruptly because Donald started behaving more like a chimp. If you jangle your keys at a moth that has ears, it will do a backflip. This is an adaptation to the echolocation of bats, which is a high-pitched noise. The moth will drop out of the air and pretend that it's dead to avoid being eaten by a bat. The deep-water blobfish actually looks like a normal fish when it's in its natural habitat. It only looks ugly and bloated after undergoing extreme depressurization when fishermen try to reel it in. Weird movie facts. After filming Psycho, actress Janet Leigh was so terrified of showers that she only took baths for 35 straight years. On the extremely rare occasion that she did take a shower, she made sure that every door in the house was locked and left the shower curtain open. An Indian actor named Shyam risked his life to transform for a role. He went 9 straight days without sleep so that the tissues under his eyes would swell up. Robert De Niro's character famously played Russian roulette in the movie Deer Hunter. When filming the scene, De Niro suggested using a real bullet to raise the tension of the actors. The actor who played the xenomorphin alien was a 6'10" man from Nigeria. He was discovered by the casting team in a local pub, and it was the only time he appeared in a movie. Weird space facts. Astronomer Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto in 1930 and investigated it throughout his whole life. He died in 1997 at the age of 90, less than a decade before the New Horizons launched to Pluto. His ashes were launched on the spacecraft to honor his final wish, and he was able to visit the planet that he discovered. The last time all humans were on Earth together was on November 2nd in the year 2000. At least one person has been on the International Space Station ever since. This photo taken from 1,000,000 miles away shows an extremely rare view of the far side of the moon. Since the launch of Sputnik in 1957, humans have littered the space around us with thousands of satellites. In the future, this may make it dangerous to leave the planet, and we may become forever trapped in our own garbage. Ancient discoveries. Archaeologists in New Mexico have found the longest prehistoric human trail ever discovered. It's more than a mile long in an area that was full of predators during the Ice Age. The footprints belong to a young adult and a toddler, likely a mother and her child. She was in a hurry and sometimes carried the child on her back. This 9,000-year-old cave painting was discovered in Tassili Cave in Algeria. It is a depiction of a shaman during a psychedelic mushroom trip. Some things just never change. This 1,800-year-old carving of a pecker was found near Hadrian's Wall in England. In 1992, a man from Great Britain was using a metal detector to find a lost hammer on his farm. But instead, he stumbled upon one of the largest collections of ancient Roman coins in the world. The 1,500-year-old treasure consisted of nearly 15,000 coins. Here are the crazy origins behind some ancient urban legends. This is a snapping turtle buried in mud after coming out of hibernation. It's where the Native American legend of the earth being brought into existence and carried on the shell of a giant turtle came from. This is the skull of an elephant. In ancient Greece, the nasal cavity in the cranium was mistaken for an eye hole, and thus the legend of the Cyclops was born. Similarly, it's believed that dragons originated from ancient peoples discovering fossils of dinosaurs. This illusion is an example of a fata morgana. It's a mirage that causes the object to appear distorted due to bending rays of light. It can happen to nearly any large distant object, including boats, buildings, and islands. It's also believed that this illusion created the myth of the Flying Dutchman.